Have you ever cried tears of joy? You know those moments when your heart feels so full and your eyes suddenly well up with tears, even though you're happy beyond measure? It's one of those beautifully human experiences that's so hard to explain, yet so universal. But here's the thing. Why do we cry tears of joy? Isn't crying supposed to be something we do when we're sad? Buckle in, because the science behind this is more surprising than you might think. All right, let's start at square one. What's the deal with tears anyway? Well, our tears serve some pretty important biological purposes. They're generated by the lacrimal glands located just above your eyes and can be categorized into three types: basal, reflex, and emotional. Basal tears are like the maintenance workers for your eyes, keeping them hydrated, clean, and protected. Reflex tears? They're the defenders, kicking in when you're chopping onions or when dust gets into your eyes. But emotional tears, the ones that flow when you're feeling happy, sad, or overwhelmed, they're the real stars of today's episode. When you cry tears of joy, a whole cascade of events is happening in your brain and body. You see, tears of joy have a lot to do with the way our brains process emotions. Deep in your brain lies a structure known as the hypothalamus. This little area is a powerhouse when it comes to regulating mood, emotions, and stress levels. When you experience overwhelming happiness, whether it's from hearing good news, watching a heartfelt movie, or even laughing too hard, the hypothalamus springs into action. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Crying serves as a release valve for emotional energy. The hypothalamus signals to your autonomic nervous system, which then triggers your lacrimal glands to produce tears. Now here's where it gets deep. Researchers believe that crying tears of joy could be your brain's clever way of restoring emotional balance. When you're overwhelmed with happiness, you might experience an emotional high or elevation. This elevation is incredible, but it's intense and can be physically exhausting. Your body steps in by making you cry, bringing you back to a sense of physiological equilibrium. Crazy, right? But that's not the whole story. Scientists have also discovered that emotional tears are chemically different from basal or reflex tears. Emotional tears contain higher levels of certain hormones and proteins, like prolactin and leucine and enkephalin, a natural painkiller. This suggests that crying plays a critical role in emotionally resetting your body, leaving you calmer and less stressed afterward. Another layer of why we cry tears of joy has to do with the social and psychological dimensions. Humans are hugely social creatures, and emotions like happiness and sadness aren't just personal, they're shared. Tears of joy during a wedding, reunion, or victory signify connection and empathy. They're a way of showing people, hey, I feel you, I get it. They add emotional gravity to an already significant moment. And let's admit it, nothing pulls at the heartstrings quite like shared tears of joy. Furthermore, there's a fascinating phenomenon known as dimorphous expression. This is a fancy term for when people express positive emotions through unexpected actions, like crying when they're happy or even laughing when they're nervous. According to psychologists, dimorphous expressions could stem from our brain's attempt to process deeply complex emotions. Essentially, our wiring makes it possible to cry from joy, as our body interprets these emotional waves in a very primal, instinctive way. Ever notice that when you cry tears of joy, you sometimes also let out a huge laugh, a deep sigh, or even a subtle shudder? There's science behind that too. Crying activates your parasympathetic nervous system, often referred to as the rest and digest system. This system basically promotes relaxation after moments of heightened emotion, explaining why people tend to feel a sense of relief when they cry, regardless of whether the cry was induced by sadness or joy. Now let's put it all together with a real-world scenario. Think about a bride walking down the aisle on her wedding day. She's not just thinking about the present moment. Her brain is processing everything, from her childhood dreams to her gratitude for loved ones, to the sheer excitement for her future. This overwhelming cocktail of thoughts and emotions hits a breaking point, and bam, tears of joy come pouring out. In that moment, her tears allow her to cope with the flood of happiness and highlight the emotional magnitude of the event. One last point, and this might surprise you. Not everyone cries tears of joy, or even cries often at all. Some researchers believe this might have a cultural or biological basis. For example, in some societies, crying, whether from joy or sadness, is seen as a sign of emotional vulnerability. Additionally, some studies show that individuals with higher levels of the hormone testosterone are less likely to cry. But here's the takeaway. Even if you're someone who rarely sheds a tear, that doesn't mean you aren't feeling joy deeply. People process emotions in unique ways, and crying is just one visible outlet for it. So, next time you end up crying while watching your favorite feel-good movie or receiving a wonderful surprise, remember this one thing. Those tears are doing a lot more than just wetting your cheeks. They symbolize deep emotional connections, social bonds, and your brain's amazing ability to balance intense feelings. Tears of joy are a testament to the beautiful complexity of the human experience. Now, aren't you glad you stuck around to learn this? Whether you've cried tears of joy today or not, every emotion you feel is part of what makes being human such a remarkable experience. So celebrate your tears. They're proof of a life well felt. Make sure to share your most joyful, tear-filled moments in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. That's it for today's Why Facts. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories behind life's everyday mysteries. Until next time, keep wondering and keep celebrating every emotion you feel. Bye.